Hi everybody, it's Robbie from Southern California, and you know what? With everything going on these days, I started to run out of tomato steaks. And I wanted long ones. I didn't have the right size, so I started making them from found material around the property. This is an aloe vera flower. It's dried up already, but you know, it has been making great tomato steaks. And this one is a cutout. It looks like a cutout collard or kale plant, and this will do the same thing. Now, I can't really stick these in the ground and use them this way. First of all, they're too short, and second of all, the ground will take them back. Nature will take them back because they'll turn it into soil. So what I needed to do was figure out how I could stick it in the ground next to my plants, get the height I needed without it deteriorating in a matter of weeks. There are two ways you could do it. If you still have tomato steaks and they're short, you could add it on to a tomato steak. And I'll show you how using something else. But you could add it on, and now you get this great big length on it. Same thing with this. Any sticks you find, tree branches, the same thing, you get that extra length. But I was lucky enough to find here that we had, and I don't even know where they all came from, a bunch of cut off rebar. Rebar is not going to deteriorate in the ground. So all I needed to do, let's use the aloe vera, was get it where I can put it on good. So let's cut a little bit of that off. I know it's flaky and it's not going to last that long, but you know what? I've made one already and it's been doing quite well for the tomatoes. Now, it's going to be easy to zip tie it, but because I use masking tape as my third hand, it makes life easier. And that's my whole goal on gardening, is making life easier. The easier it is, the more I will do it, and I know the more you will do it. So you figure how much you want to get in the ground. And there I just start masking, taping it. Like I said, this is really mainly for my third hand, because I can't hold it and pull a zip tie around really good. Get it to where you want. Okay, that looks good. Now, I'm just going to use a zip tie. Now, if they're not long enough, this one's not long enough, and this is a cheap package of short ones, you know, just regular ones, 150, I got it for $1. I can put two together and make it longer. So these are the zip ties I use, also known as cable ties. When you use them, what you want to do is keep that little box up and go behind the box, and that is the way it will zip and lock. Now don't pull it until you're ready, because you cannot go backwards on these. If you pull it, you'll have to throw it out and start over. And that's how easy it is. Go behind that box and that's where it locks. If you go the other way, it won't work. To make your zip ties longer, if you've got two short ones, you can do the same thing. Make sure the boxes are up and go behind the box that you're making the larger zip tie, with the other box still up, same position. And as soon as it zips, that's it. It's locked. Don't over pull it, because again, you can't go backwards. And now you have a longer zip tie ready to use, and that's it. Now I have a longer zip tie. So I don't have to go spend the money and buy a really long zip tie when this is going to work perfect. Look at this. Now I've made the zip tie that I wanted out of putting two of them together. So you can see. See, there's a blue zip tie and there's a black one. Remember, there's a right way and a wrong way of putting the zip tie in. You always make sure that little box is pointed up. And when it's pointed up, that's when you go behind it. If you go the other way, it just won't work. You'll put it on, you'll think there's something wrong with it. Now, I'm going to tighten this one up. Remember, you go behind the box, the tall box, and that's it. Look at that. I can put one more if I want. You know what? This probably will hold. I'm going to get rid of all these little tails, throw those in the trash. And now I have a great big tomato steak. This will go in the ground, and this will be on the top, and the tomatoes can climb on this. And you can do the same thing with any sticks you find around the yard. This is what happens when you can't get to the store and get what you need. You have to get really creative, but this has worked really good. I've got a couple around the property. This is probably not the best choice because it's very soft and hollow, the aloe vera flower stem. But you know, for what I wanted it, just to support some tomatoes, it has worked beautiful, and the tomato can weave through all this. And as far as staking up my tomatoes and plants, I use yarn. I picked up a lot of yarn at the dollar stores. Different colors, it doesn't matter. I like green. Here's yarn from last year. Look how faded it is. I untied it, it was still good and it's strong. And I use that to tie up a lot of my plants like tomatoes and cucumbers. Even my watermelon, I've used it for staking in the garden, and yarn really lasts good. Remember, it's made to go through a washing machine for clothing, so it really does last long. So if you see cheap yarn and you want cheap staking material, this has been really good in the garden, along with my favorite, the masking tape. Instead of using a great big piece of masking tape. And tied in a loose knot, so if you want, you can go back and change it and rearrange it later. Beautiful. Now this size is 3/8 rebar, and this size is 1/2 inch. You don't need 1/2 inch unless you get it for free. And this is the 3/8. You can get this at the hardware store. Gary says it's a 20-foot length, about $5. It's really cheap. The problem is getting it home in 20 lengths. You can ask your hardware store. Different places may cut them for you. You only need small pieces, let's say 12 inches to 18 inches. But the other thing is you can go to metal scrap yards or construction sites and ask if they've got any cutoffs, because of course they do block walls and all kinds of cement work with them, and they've usually got a lot of cutoffs they don't want. So what you want is the free stuff that they don't want, and then you can use that to make your own stakes any height you want when you add on your own branches. See, the ribbing on the rebar really holds if you're using zip ties. So that's what really helps hold when you add on sticks to the rebar. But look for whatever you've got, any sticks you've got. If you've got dowels, you could do it the same thing. You could attach a dowel. Again, the masking tape is mainly for your third hand, even though the masking tape will stay on. This will go into the soil or the ground or your container, your flower pot, and the rest your plant will grow up. I've got spinach, Malabar spinach growing up on it. I've got all kinds of stuff, and it works great. So if you're in a pinch, this is really a cheap way to get an extra tall plant stake. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.